Hey friends, Ash here with Gents, and today I'm coming at you guys with 5 different fragrances that I feel like are underrated for one reason or another. Some of these fragrances just are kind of forgotten, don't get talked about at all. Some of these fragrances maybe have a bit of a bad rap, and the general consensus on the fragrance is that it's not any good, but I myself really like it, or just kind of a combination of both of those. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover today, so let's jump into this and check out 5 fragrances that I personally feel are a bit underrated. Now, I guess before we go too much further, I do need to let you guys know that I don't necessarily feel like these are world beater fragrances, like the must-own, hype beast, ultra versatile, compliment monster fragrances. That's not what I'm saying these are. I'm just saying I like these more than the average guy seems to. We're gonna kick things off with this one, Chrome Aqua from AZZARO. So this one is fairly affordable because it is a chrome fragrance. You can pick this up at discounters for under 30 bucks for the 50 ml size bottle. This one has gotten a decent amount of love from the people that have actually smelled it, the people that have bought it, but in general, it's not a fragrance that gets talked about all that much. And this one is actually my favorite chrome fragrance that I've ever smelled. It's got mint, vetiver, grapefruit, apple, and sea notes in the fragrance, which is not a big surprise. It's called Aqua. And surprisingly, Chrome Aqua actually works really well in cold weather. Now, it doesn't project monstrously, doesn't last for a super long time. So if you're the type of person that only wears beast mode fragrances in cold weather, this one probably won't cut it for you. But when I wore this in wintertime, smelled awesome. Just the way the mint worked with the cold weather when the wind was whipping around. This had a really icy kind of tone to it. When you smelled it, it was super brisk and refreshing. Smelled awesome. Now, obviously it's gonna be better suited for warm weather, so spring and summer. But the fact that it smells so good and works so well in cold weather gives this even more versatility than you would initially think. Because when you see this, you would think, oh, you know, I'll wear it casually when it's really hot outside in the summer, and that's about it. But take it from me, in wintertime, this one smells great. Like I said before, this one's really refreshing, brisk, uplifting, clean, easy kind of fragrance to wear, very versatile, one that you could wear to the office casually. You could wear it on a night out, potentially, though it is better suited as a daytime scent, and year-round wear is good on this one as well. It's the best chrome flanker that's come out in a very long time. It is my favorite chrome fragrance, and it does not smell overly synthetic or chemically, which a lot of chrome fragrances will end up smelling. You'll hit yourself with it and you'll be like, yeah, kind of a chemically shower gel kind of thing going on. This one though, doesn't come across that way to me. So that's the first fragrance I wanted to talk about, AZZARO Chrome Aqua, super solid. Next up is a fragrance that does not get talked about at all, which makes sense. It's been out for a while and it never really got heavily hyped like a lot of other fragrances that have been out for years and years that still get mentioned. It is from LANCOME, and it's this one, HYPNOSE, and this has an awesome bottle. I really love the way this one looks. Yeah, take a look at this bottle. It's got this really cool curved design to the glass, and then has the name of the fragrance there on top. This has cardamom, lavender, amber mint, patchouli, and almond. That's some of the notes in the fragrance. So it's got an interesting note breakdown there. It's a little bit powdery, but it is sophisticated, refined, a little bit mysterious even, and a sexy kind of night out fragrance. This is a date night fragrance that you're gonna wear if you wanna come across a little more gentlemanly, more refined. It's not the type of date night fragrance that's really sweet, heavy, that kind of date fragrance. This one, like I said before, has got more of an aromatic sort of spiciness to it, slightly powdery, and the cardamom is going to be the main thing that you pick up here spice-wise. But the cardamom does not come across like the cardamom in La Nuit de l'Homme. In La Nuit de l'Homme, it has more of a sweet undertone. Here, it's more aromatic, as I just mentioned. Got a little bit of creaminess in there from the almond. One of the earlier fragrances to use almond. You see it pop up a little more often nowadays than when this was originally released. The bottle just looks amazing. It looks fantastic in a collection. Looks like it would cost much more than it does because you can pick this up from discounters in the $40, $45 range. Not really cheap, but when you get this and hold it in your hand, you're like, yeah, that's an awesome presentation. Definitely one of a kind. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just spray this one on now. this fragrance is not really going to appeal as much, I feel like, to younger guys. Younger guys, a lot of times, are gonna want those sweeter, louder, more in-your-face fragrances, and that's really not what this one is. I don't necessarily think that Hypnose is a world beater. It's not the same type of fragrance as La Nuit de l'Homme in terms of just ultimate mass appeal, but it is very easy to wear. It's a nice twist on a cardamom heavy, night out, date night kind of fragrance, a little more, as I said before, sophisticated, but with powder in there. But even though it's not necessarily a world beater, a top sort of fragrance, it is extremely solid with a fantastic presentation and a fragrance that I personally like a lot. All right, after that, let's go to a Dolce & Gabbana fragrance that I have talked about before on the channel. It's one that I like a lot, and I know a bunch of people don't like it. If you go to Fragrantica, there are a bunch of dislikes on this fragrance, not so many loves, but it's one that I have always enjoyed wearing. I wore this to the office a lot when this was brand new. Got a bunch of compliments from it, for whatever that's worth. It's this one, Dolce & Gabbana Intenso. So this is a flanker of Pour Homme, Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. And a lot of people will say that Intenso does have more of a similarity to the original Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. In case you're unaware, there are a couple different versions of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. Well, if we're just keeping this super simple, we'll say there are a couple versions of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. So there's the type with the sticker on the front of the bottle, and that is the original formulation. And again, we're just keeping this very simple here. We're not going to go into a whole lot of detail. I know that there are multiple versions here, but there's the sticker on the front, so that's going to be your original Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. And then there's the re-release, the reformulation, however you want to word that. And that is the Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme bottle that you'll see if you go into a store now. So it's going to look like this, with just the writing on the bottle itself instead of a sticker. So keep with me here. That original version with the sticker, that's the one that most people will say is more desirable as far as Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. Intenso is going to get you closer to that, the original formulation of Pour Homme, than the current version of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, if that makes any sense to you. Tobacco, lavender, hay, and basil, some of the notes in this fragrance. This one is very gentlemanly, a little bit similar to Hypnose in terms of which people would probably like this fragrance. I think there is a little bit of an overlap here in terms of just general fragrance taste. If you like this, you'll probably like this, and if you like this, you'll probably like this. Though of course, everybody's tastes are different. There's also sandalwood in here and cypress, so some woody notes there in the base of the scent. Ultimately, it's going to be more of a tobacco and hay fragrance to me, with a good dose of lavender in there as well. The tobacco in this one, just like in the original Pour Homme, is not going to be your super sweet pipe tobacco kind of tobacco note. This one is going to be more soapy, so kind of a soapy tobacco, like tobacco leaf, like soap and tobacco leaf, with a bit of hay and basil in there. If you want to just break it down super simply, that's what you're going to get here. As I said before, I wore this fragrance to the office all the time. Got a lot of good compliments on this fragrance while wearing it. Most of the time when I wore this, it was with me dressed up a little bit, you know, either a suit or business casual. It works really well in that kind of environment. More of a daytime fragrance to me than nighttime, even though you look at the bottle, Intenso, you know, it's got this dark brown coloration to it. Tobacco is the main note. You would think, oh, that's going to be a nighttime fragrance, really rich, deep, maybe resinous, sweet. That's not it. That's not what this is. Daytime, office wear, casual wear, that's how this one rolls. And it's going to be better for spring and fall, at least in my opinion. You know, when the weather's a little bit cool or a little bit warm, but not super cold, not super hot. That's when Intenso works. If you like the original Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, you will most likely enjoy that one as well. I know a lot of people do not like the original Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, so if you don't like that fragrance, I don't think you'll like Intenso, so keep that in mind. But if you do, absolutely check it out. In my opinion, Intenso is an improvement over the current release, or the current version rather, of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, which in its own right is a modern classic men's fragrance. Next up is a fragrance from BOIS 1920. BOIS 1920. And I know it looks like maybe it would be Bois 1920, but if you look it up, it's actually pronounced BOIS 1920. And the fragrance is classic 1920. This one is just clean, 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 clean. It's a niche house that doesn't get talked about very much anymore. There were a couple fragrances from this house that did get talked about years back, but nowadays it's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. This one has lemon, bergamot, nutmeg, lavender, and apricot as some of the notes in the fragrance, but the main note that you're gonna get is juniper. There is a good amount of juniper in here. Very clean, very fresh, uplifting. This one is a warm weather, daytime sort of fragrance. You can dress this one up. You can wear this one in a suit. You can wear it business casually, wear it to the office, or just wear it casually in general. This one, extremely easy to wear, very versatile as long as it's a nice warm day. This one does have a little bit of soapiness with that cleanly kind of feeling that it has, a touch of green in there, and then a good amount of fruity sweetness. And the main fruit that you're gonna pick up from here is the apricot, which is a note that I feel like is not used quite enough. It's pretty affordable as far as niche fragrances go. You can usually pick this up from discounters for under $100, which is pretty nice. There's also an extreme version of this fragrance. I believe it's extreme and not intense. Could be wrong there. It's been a minute since I've looked that up. But classic 1920 is the first fragrance that I think of when I think of this house. And it's just a great warm weather fragrance. Never gets talked about, but easy to wear, very likable. And I don't want this video to run too long, so I'm gonna jump to the next fragrance, or fragrances actually. I know I said 5, but technically there are 6 here. These are from MOLINARD, and there is this one, Patchouli Eau de Parfum, and this one, CUIR Eau de Parfum, or leather. These are awesome quality for the price, just awesome. And I have a lot of different fragrances from this line actually. These at discounters, I think 40, 45 bucks nowadays. They're worth every penny of that. So this one, Patchouli, obviously is a patchouli based fragrance. And if you like patchouli and you can find this 40, 45 bucks, absolutely worth the pickup, 100%. That being said, it is very patchouli forward. So if you buy this and you're expecting a fragrance with like a little chocolatey patchouli in the background or something like that, you're not gonna have a good time. If you buy this and you expect a fragrance with patchouli right up front with some sandalwood, vanilla, a little bit of floral action in there behind it, like geranium, and some musk in the dry down, you'll be happy. And this one to me, just so good. As a patchouli forward fragrance that's very affordable, but smells of extremely high quality, good performance, good projection, good longevity. Check this out, Patchouli Eau de Parfum. Very, 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 very good. If you do not like patchouli though, if it reminds you of like hippies or something, or stoners, whatever, you may not like it. Now it's not just patchouli. Some of the other notes in the fragrance I just named off, but patchouli is definitely the star of the show there. So if you don't like patchouli, probably won't like that one. And then this bad boy right here, it's got leather, saffron, oud, it's got amber in here as well, along with nutmeg. And this one is gonna be leather forward, obviously, and it's a sweet, deep, rich, a little bit resinous leather. It's got that combo of saffron and oud in there, which work together very well. The oud in here, not animalic, it doesn't take away from the fragrance. It's not a leather fragrance that I find challenging, personally. Some leather fragrances can be hard to pull off, hard to wear, because they're a little funky, a little rough around the edges, sometimes too masculine. Sometimes you might spray it on and be like, you know, I like the leather, but when am I gonna wear it? This one's got a little touch of that masculine edge, you know, but it's got a good amount of sweetness that offsets everything, and just a little bit of spice as well. Like I said, deep, rich, a little bit resinous, great smelling, just fantastic. I actually talked about this years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. I did a review on this fragrance, and I still love it. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic release. And this is actually the fragrance that turned me on to this entire line. So I smelled this one and I was like, man, that quality is really good for the price. And the bottle looks really nice as well. It's just really quality. So then I started going through, just knocking them off. Patchouli, rose, violet. I picked up about every single one of these in this line. These two are my absolute favorite though, Patchouli and CUIR. So if you're in the market for a leather-based fragrance or a patchouli-based fragrance that you don't want to break the bank on, but you want really nice quality and a fragrance that other people are most likely not wearing and are not aware of, check those out. Those are good. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap this video up. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for all your support. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another fragrance video. Stay safe out there, guys. See you tomorrow. Oops. Oops. Oops.